Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper, and today I've got another card for you using the balloon Festoon. It's sort of a 2 cards in one job. I'll show you in a minute. So this is the balloon Festoon stamp set, and we're using some of the little images of this today. So I've used the stars, the confetti and this nice sort of banner, and a couple of the sentiments. Okay, so let's show you the card. So I've seen a few of these card within a card things, so shout out to any other demonstrator who's already recorded a video on it. I can't remember where I saw this. So what I've done is I've used the big balloon, and then so it's basically a Z fold, a simple Z fold, and then when you open it up inside you can actually open the inside. Hopefully you can see that. So it's sort of a card within a card. I've just realised I've got a splodge on there, so I'm just going to get my eraser and hopefully get rid of that. Nope. Alright, so I'm going to bring in my sand eraser. Usually if the normal one doesn't, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing, can you? If the normal one doesn't get shot of it, the sand eraser usually does. Okay, so that's that. So I'm just going to put that to one side and I'll bring in the bits and pieces that I've got so you can see how I made it. So first of all, I have a card base, and this is Gorgeous Grape, and it's half of an A4 sheet of card cut across the middle, and then scored and folded in half, and that gives us a card base that is 14.8 long by 10.5 wide. And then what we're going to do with this, I'm going to fold back the front I'll measure it in a minute and tell you exactly what the measurements are, but you don't really need to. And just fold it by eye. Let me just grab my ruler and then I can give you an idea of exactly what the measurements are. So I'm in the UK, so we're working in centimetres, and it's half of an A4 sheet, so it's 5.2 and a bit, because it was 10.5 across. So it's 5.25. Okay, then I have got a piece of fresh freesia, and this is going to go on there. I don't have any matching paper for this set. I'm not sure if there was matching paper, to be honest, but let me just have a quick flick. So it's from the May to August catalogue. And I'm not sure if there was paper that went with it. If I can just find the page or the patterned papers. No, I don't think there was. So you could use something like this, the paper medley. Something like that would work, and then obviously alter your base card colour to work with what you've got. I mean, you can use any papers to work with what you've got, but there isn't a specific. I mean, these ones would work quite nice. The painted patterns would work quite nice, and obviously alter your base card to the colour that you're planning to use. But for me, I've got a piece of fresh freesia there, and that is 4.5 centimetres wide by 14.3 long, so half a centimetre smaller basically all the way around. Slightly more than half a centimetre across there, but we're not going to argue about 0.1 of a centimetre. Okay, and then the last pieces I've got are I've got a piece of Whisper White, and that basic white, sorry, and that is going to fit in there. Now it's hot here in the UK. My brain, I've had no lunch, and my brain is not quite working properly, and I needed it to fit in a shorter length than half of the excuse me, half of the A4. So what I did was I cut it at 10 centimetres, which gives us the right width to fit in there with a border. And then I scored it at 14.3, which then gave me this little hangover bit there, rather than trying to work out the measurements. So, and then all I'm going to do is bring my trimmer in. You can level up the piece that you want to line it up with your cutting grid, and then just slide that bit off. And then it's the right size. That was way easier than trying to work out the measurements for me. and that piece is going to go in there. Okay, so we need to do some stamping, so I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper. Just going to put those to one side for the minute. So I'm just bringing in a piece of scrap here for my fresh freesia. Just make sure I've got the card the right way up. Yep. Right, so the first thing, I've got 3 colours here. I've got fresh freesia, gorgeous grape, and bubble bath. So we're going up in increments of dark to light. And I'm going to use fresh freesia on fresh freesia. You could use the gorgeous grape or you could use the bubble bath, but I wanted that sort of inked on myself look. And I'm just inked up this sort of swag. I'm going to stamp that at the bottom. Ink up again, and I'm going to stamp it at the top. That's all we're going to use for that. So let's put that to one side. Then I'm going to come in with the, I guess you'd call it confetti, sort of streamery confetti, and I'm just going to randomly stamp down the middle. Now you're not going to see a lot of this, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but rather than trying to work out which bits you are going to see, it's just easier to stamp the whole thing. Okay, so that's that piece. Okay, I'm just going to put that stamp to one side, and we're going to stick that on to get that out of the way. So I'm just going to use some Tombow. And we are going straight down the middle. Just need to make sure I've got it the right way up because we want that swag, and that is going to stick onto our folded back front like that. Okay, right, the next thing we need to do is bring in our card within a card. Now I'm going to need all of the colours open for this, and we're going to go down in ascending colours from darkest to palest. So I'm starting with gorgeous grape. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I don't then have to mask off the balloons. If I used the colours in the other order, it would look a bit odd. So you can get away without masking your balloons by doing this. So I'm going to, just trust me, it works. I'm going to go in with the gorgeous grape first of all. And all I'm going to do is stamp randomly. Oh, actually, I should have told you to put in a stamp mat to give you a better image, because these are photopolymer. We obviously now don't sell the red rubber. Even with a stamp mat, you still don't get a great image. I would like that to be really nice and deep colour, but it may just be my ink pad. So that's that. I'm just going to grab a baby wipe just to clean up my balloon and the block that it is on. And my fingers. This is where things start to get a little bit messy. Okay, so we're using the same balloon again. This time we're going in with the fresh freesia. And I'm just going to go between the other balloons. And what will happen is, because we stamp the darker ones first, it does look like we have masked it. Okay, so that's our fresh freesia. I'm just going to wipe off again. You can get away with out wiping if you go from light to dark, but not dark to light. Okay, and then we're just going in with our bubble bath. And you will see a little bit of crossover between the bubble bath and the fresh freesia, but not enough to worry about. And I just, there we go, random stamping. Okay. Okay, so pop that one to one side. And then the greeting on the front is going to be hip hip hooray. And I'm going to do that in fresh freesia so it matches our panel on the front. And that's going down there. Hopefully that's level. Oh, you can't see that, can you? There we go. There's our hip hip hooray. And then on the inside, I'm going to use enjoy your day. And again, I'm going in with the Fresh Freesia, just making sure it's quite a long stamp, making sure I've got that all inked up. Just going to move some of these ink pads because I don't want to get ink on my outside that we've just stamped. Okay, and that's going in there. So on the front we have our balloons that we've stamped with our Hip Hip Hooray, and on the inside we've got Enjoy Your Day. Now we're going to remove that piece of scrap paper and take my stamping mat out of the way because that's all our stamping is done with now. And then I'm going to glue, well, it isn't actually, it's on that piece it is, so I've got to do a little bit more, so I'll bring it back in. Okay, I'm just going to glue that into our card base again to keep that out of the way. So that is going into the main part of our card base, just with a little border. Okay, so that's that. So that's that, and we've got our front, and then we've got one of the balloons. Now this is the second from largest. The largest balloon, would you believe it, was actually too big. It went over the edges of the card base. So we're going to use this one. I'm going to bring my scrap in again, and this time I'm using the stars, and I'm going in with the Gorgeous Grape. So again, we've got that colour on colour effect. Obviously you could use any of the stamps for decorating the balloon. So I'm just randomly stamping. As we go. Okay, and that's our balloon stamped. So that is the last bit of our stamping. And then this is mounted on the front of the card, and I'm trying not to make this too bulky, so I'm going to glue it on. So you only need to put glue on part of the side, so I'm not even going halfway. I'm just sort of going to do it in an arc like that. And I lined up the bit where you tie the knot in the balloon with the fold, and that gave it a sort of a balanced edge. And now I think we need some bling on that, so I'm just gonna I remembered I've got these are the Purple Fine Shimmer Gems. Again, aside from using up my paper that I've got stashed everywhere, I want to use up my gems before I buy any more. So I'm guessing these are sort of a mixture of Gorgeous Grape and Highland Heather, but they're nice and shiny, so I'm just bringing those in. So I'm just going to go with a couple, there's different sizes, a couple down there, and then I'm going to just pop some of the bigger, darker purple, which I think probably is Gorgeous Grape. And obviously when you're doing gems or embellishments, odd numbers are better. So I'm going to come in with some. So we've got 3, 4, 5. I think we need one in the middle there. Okay, so that's 7 in total. So that's those out of the way. And then I'm just going to come in with my Wink of Stella on the inside of the card. Just highlight these reflective bits. I mean, they're on each bit that we've stamped, but I'm just doing it on the Gorgeous Grape, and just to give that a little bit of shimmer. I don't think you're going to pick that up on the camera, but yeah, trust me, it's there. And there's our finished card. So just going to bring in the one that I started with. This one that I started with just needs some gems on it, but I hadn't dug them out at that point. So there is our card. So it will stand up in the usual Z fold manner, and then obviously you can open it up to write in, which makes it a good card if you need a lot of people to write in it. Okay, hopefully you like it and hopefully you'll give it a go, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching and happy stamping.